Everyone worships premium credit cards for luxury and rewards, but what if I told you that this beginner credit card quietly destroys most of them when you break down the maths on paper? Let me explain. Last month, I got into an argument with a financial advisor who insisted that premium credit cards are always better than basic credit cards. He was showing off his Metal American Express Platinum, talking about airport lounges and concierge services like they were the holy grail of personal finance. So I made him a bet. I said, give me 3 random people's spending patterns and I'll prove that this simple 2% cashback credit card beats your 700 annual fee monster for most of them. He laughed and took the bet. What happened next shocked both of us. Out of 3 completely different people, the expensive premium credit card only made sense for one of them. It was either barely better or actually lost them money. Today I'm going to walk you through the exact analysis using real people with real spending patterns, and by the end of this, you'll understand why credit card companies spend millions convincing you to pay for benefits you'll never use. But first, if this saves you from wasting money on overpriced cards, drop a like and subscribe. So before we dive into the numbers, let me introduce you to the 3 real people I've actually worked with. Their names are changed, but their spending patterns are 100% real. So let's first start off with Sarah. She's 24, she just graduated university and makes $28,000 a year. Sarah is careful with money because she has to be. She spends about $1,800 a month in total, 300 on groceries, 150 on petrol, 200 eating out with friends, and the rest on bills and life. She takes 1 holiday a year, usually a budget trip to Europe, and flies maybe 3 times in total. Next, we have Mike. He's 35, married with 2 kids. He makes around $55,000 a year. Mike's family spends $3,500 a month, 600 on groceries because kids are expensive, 300 on dining out, plus school activities, utilities, and everything else that comes with family life. They take 1 family vacation per year, usually a package deal to Spain or somewhere similar. And finally, we have Lisa. She's 42 years old, works as a senior consultant, makes around $85,000 a year. Lisa travels constantly for work. We're talking 15 business trips per year. She spends $4,200 monthly, with $1,500 of that being on travel alone. She's in airports all the time, stays at nice hotels, and eats at business dinners regularly. Now here's what I did. I took 3 cards. The Citi Double Cash that everyone calls a beginner card. The Chase Sapphire Preferred, that's supposedly the sweet spot for most people, and the American Express Platinum, that's the ultimate status symbol. Then I calculated exactly what each person would get from each card, and the results, they were eye-opening. So let's first start with Sarah, our recent graduate. Remember, she's spending $1,800 a month on a tight budget. With the Citi Double Cash, Sarah's life is simple. She gets 2% cash back on everything she buys. No categories to remember, no credits to track, no annual fee to worry about. Her 1,800 monthly spending gives her 432 in cash back every single year. That's real money in her bank account that she can use for anything. Now let's look at the Chase Sapphire Preferred. This card will cost her $95 per year, but gives 2x points on travel and dining, 1x on everything else. Sarah spends maybe $50 a month on travel and $200 on dining, so she earns extra points on $250 monthly. The rest of her spending only earns 1x points. When I calculated Sarah's total earnings, she got 54,600 points, worth about 546 in cash value. Minus the 95 annual fee, that's 451 net value. So the premium card gives her 19 more than the basic card, but only if she understands how to redeem the points optimally. But here's where it gets interesting. The American Express Platinum costs $695 per year. It gives 5x points on flights, but Sarah only flies a few times a year, spending maybe 400 total on flights. Everything else earns just 1x points, so Sarah's total earnings are 31,200 points, worth 312, the card comes with 200 in airline credits and 200 in Uber credits, but Sarah doesn't use the qualifying airlines and only uses Uber occasionally. She can maybe extract 50 in value from the Uber credits. So Sarah pays 695 and earns 312 in points and gets 50 in usable credits. Her net result, she loses 333 per year. The premium card literally cost her money. Sarah's verdict was clear. Stick with the simple 2% card. It gives her essentially the same value as the mid-tier premium card, but without any complexity. And the ultra premium credit card, that's financial suicide for someone with her spending patterns. Now let's move over to Mike's situation, as it's way more interesting because he spends significantly more and has some travel expenses. With the City Double Cash, Mike earns 840 per year. Simple, straightforward, no annual fee. The Chase Sapphire Preferred looked way more promising for Mike. His family spends 300 monthly on dining and about 2,000 annually on their family vacation. The 2x earning on these categories, plus some travel benefits like trip insurance that saves him 100 on separate family coverage, brought his total value to 979 after the annual fee. Brought his total value to 979 after the annual fee. So the premium credit card beats the basic card by 139 for Mike. Not terrible, but not life-changing either. Now, the American Express Platinum was a complete different story. Even with Mike's higher spending, the card's benefits don't align with the family travel. The airport lounges become nightmares when you're traveling with 2 young kids. The airline credits are hard to use because Mike booked package deals. The Uber credits help a bit, but most benefits are useless for family situations. So Mike's total value from the American Express Platinum is just 293 after accounting for the annual fee. The Ultimate Premium card performed way worse than the basic cashback card, and Mike realized something important. Premium cards are designed for a specific lifestyle, and family travel isn't it. The marketing shows happy families in airport lounges, but the reality is that most premium benefits become obstacles when you're managing kids and logistics. Now, the only time the premium card worked well was with Lisa, and Lisa was our business traveler, and honestly, I expected the premium card to dominate for her, and it did, but not as much as you'd think it would. The City Double Cash gave Lisa 1,008 per year, not bad for a no-fee card, even with her high spending. Now, the Chase Sapphire Preferred was where things got interesting. Lisa spends 1,500 monthly on travel and 800 on dining, mostly business meals. The 2x earning on these categories, plus the ability to transfer points to airline partners for better redemption values, brought her total value to 4,637 after fees. Now, the American Express Platinum finally showed its strength with Lisa. Her frequent flights earn massive 5x points. She actually uses the airline credits because she books qualifying flights regularly. The 200 Uber credit gets used monthly for business travel. Most importantly, she visits airport lounges at least 25 times per year, which alone is worth 800 in value. So Lisa's total value from the American Express Platinum is a whopping 4,689. It beats the basic card by a massive margin and edged out the mid-tier premium card by just 52. But here's what surprised me. Even for Lisa, the ultra premium credit card only won by 52 over the mid-tier option. So for 600 more in annual fees, she only got 52 more in value. That's not exactly a compelling value proposition. Now, for me personally, after running these numbers, several things became crystal clear. First, the beginner credit card isn't really for beginners. For Sarah and Mike, it delivered competitive or superior value compared to credit cards costing hundreds more. The only reason it's called a beginner credit card is marketing. Banks make more money when you pay annual fees. Secondly, premium credit cards only make sense for very specific lifestyles. For example, Lisa travels 25 times per year for business, uses every credit, and visits lounges constantly, even then, the premium card barely beats the mid-tier option. Thirdly, most people vastly overestimate how much they travel and how many premium benefits they'll actually use. Mike thought he might benefit from airport lounges until he realized he travels with kids who make lounges impractical. Now, the maths here revealed something the credit card industry doesn't want you to know. Complexity doesn't equal value. The simplest credit card often delivers the best results for real-world spending patterns. Now, the real question is, why do banks push premium cards so hard? And understanding these results made me realize why these credit card companies spend millions on marketing premium credit cards. It's not because they're better for customers, it's because they're better for the banks. Think about it. The Citi Double Cash makes money from interchange fees when you swipe, maybe 2% of your spending. The American Express Platinum makes $695 upfront off each person, plus the interchange fees, plus they're betting you won't use all their benefits that you're paying for. And banks like to call this breakage. This is when customers don't use benefits they've paid for. It's not a bug in their system, it's a feature. They profit when you pay for airport lounge access, but only use it twice a year. They win when you forget to use your airline credits. The entire premium credit card industry is built on gaps between aspirational spending and actual behavior. They market cards based on the lifestyle you want, not the lifestyle you actually have. So how do you choose and make the right choice for you? It's actually simpler than the credit card companies want you to believe. If you're someone like Sarah, careful with spending, limited travel, focused on building wealth, then simple, the 2% cashback card is probably your best bet. It gives you guaranteed value without annual fees or complexity. If you're someone like Mike, moderate spending with some travel but family obligations that limit premium benefits, a mid-tier premium credit card might edge out on the basic card, but barely. You need to be honest and assess whether the small advantage is worth the extra complexity. And if you're someone like Lisa, extensive business travel, high spending, ability to use premium benefits regularly, then the premium cards can deliver real value. But even then, you need to question whether the ultra premium options are worth the massive annual fees. The key is being honest about your actual spending and travel patterns, not your aspirational ones. Don't pay for benefits you hope to use someday. Pay for value that you can use today. Now, here's what really shocked me about this whole analysis that I did. Across all three people, the total value difference between the best and worst cards were often smaller than you'd expect. Sarah's best option gave her 432 in value. Her worst option cost her 330. That's a 765 swing, which matters a lot on a 28,000 salary. Mike's best option was worth 979 and his worst option was worth 293. That's a 686 difference that could fund a nice family vacation for them. Lisa's best option delivered 4,689 in value, and even her worst option, the basic card, gave her 1,008. The spread was 3,681, but as a percentage of her income, it was less impactful. The pattern here is clear. Premium cards become more valuable as spending increases, but the value gap is often smaller than the marketing suggests. And for many people, the basic credit card delivers 80% of the value for 0% of the annual fees. Now, the financial advisor that I made a bet with at the beginning of this video, he switched to a simple cashback card after seeing these numbers. It turned out that he was paying $695 annually for benefits he used maybe 3 times a year. The credit card industry has created a hierarchy where expensive equals better and complex equals sophisticated. But in personal finance, simple often wins. The beginner card isn't beginner because it's inferior. It's beginner because it's honest. Don't let shiny metal and marketing budgets convince you to pay for benefits you won't use. Run your own numbers and be honest about your lifestyle and choose the card that delivers the most value for your actual spending patterns. Sometimes the best financial decisions is the boring one. If the analysis opened your eyes to the premium card marketing machine, smash that like button and subscribe for more honest credit card maths. Comment below which person you relate to most, Sarah, Mike, or Lisa, and whether these results surprised you. I'll see you in the next video where I might be exposing why airline credit cards are an even bigger scam for most people. Remember, the best credit card isn't the most expensive one. It's the one that makes you the most money based on how you actually live your life.